Emily Carter thought she'd met the perfect man in Ryan Pierce, charming, thoughtful, and everything she'd ever wanted. But what she didn't know was that Ryan hadn't just fallen for her. He had been watching her, tracking her, and controlling her long before their first date. What started as romance was never love. It was an obsession that turned her life into a living nightmare. Emily Carter's life had always been simple, predictable, and safe, exactly how she liked it. At 27, she lived in a small but cozy apartment on the quieter side of Portland, the kind of neighborhood where the mailman knew your name and the sound of bicycles filled the morning air. Her days revolved around work at a local marketing firm, coffee from the same corner cafe, and long evening walks with her headphones in. She wasn't looking for drama or excitement, she just wanted peace. That was before Ryan Pierce appeared in her life so effortlessly, so perfectly, that it felt like fate. They matched on a dating app one rainy evening in March. His profile seemed ordinary. Just a smiling face, a photo at a hiking trail, and a short bio about loving dogs and Sunday pancakes. But his messages were different. He was attentive, patient, and genuinely interested in the little details of her life. He remembered the name of her favorite author, sent her good morning texts before her alarm went off, and asked how her day had been every single evening. It didn't take long for Ryan to become part of her daily rhythm. Within 2 weeks, they met for coffee. He was even better in person. Warm eyes, an easy laugh, and a confidence that put her at ease. To Emily, Ryan seemed like the kind of man who truly listened. He remembered things most people didn't. When she casually mentioned once that her office chair was broken, a new one arrived at her apartment 2 days later, with a note saying, "You deserve comfort." It was thoughtful, maybe a little too much, but she told herself that was just who Ryan was: caring, considerate, and generous. Her friends teased her about how fast things were moving, but she couldn't help it. After years of disappointing dates, she felt lucky to have met someone who seemed to genuinely care. But Ryan's attentiveness had an edge she didn't see. Before he ever matched with her online, he had already known her routines. He had seen her at that cafe near her office weeks earlier, had noticed her walking home alone from work, had memorized the path she took when jogging on weekends. Every coincidence that made their connection feel fated was the result of careful observation. He knew which gym she went to, what kind of car she drove, and when she usually left her apartment. While she was swiping through profiles looking for something real, he was already studying her life from a distance. Emily thought she was finding love, but in reality, she was stepping into a carefully built illusion. Ryan didn't stumble into her life. He inserted himself into it. Each text, each thoughtful surprise, each chance encounter was rehearsed. He was calculating, studying her reactions, molding himself into exactly what she wanted. When she thought about him at night, she smiled. She had no idea that while she slept, he sometimes stood outside her apartment building, watching the light in her window go out. To her, Ryan was a dream come true. To him, she was an obsession he had finally caught. And from that moment on, Emily's quiet, safe world would never be the same again. As the weeks turned into months, Ryan's presence in Emily's life became constant, almost suffocating, though she didn't see it that way at first. He was always around, always checking in, always finding reasons to be part of her every decision. He texted her before she even had a chance to miss him. If she didn't respond within a few minutes, his messages would start piling up, innocent at first, then slightly sharp, asking if she was okay, if she was ignoring him, if she still cared. Emily convinced herself that this was what love looked like: someone who truly wanted her around, someone who didn't play games. She had no idea that what she was mistaking for care was actually control disguised as affection. Slowly, Ryan began to reshape her world. He told her he worried about her driving home late at night, so she started staying home more often. He said he didn't like how her coworkers treated her, and soon she began distancing herself from them. When she wanted to go out with friends, he'd sigh and say he missed her, asking her to stay in for just one night, and when she did go, she'd notice him calling repeatedly, checking where she was, who she was with, what time she'd be home. It was subtle, so gradual that it almost felt natural. Ryan made it seem like his concern came from love, not fear. The first time Emily felt something was off, it was a small thing. She came home to find her window slightly open, even though she was sure she had closed it that morning. Her curtains swayed gently in the evening air, and for a moment she felt a strange chill crawl up her spine. Nothing was missing, and her apartment looked untouched, so she told herself she was being paranoid. But then she noticed her perfume bottle sitting in a slightly different spot than where she left it. The feeling didn't leave her, even after she locked the window and tried to forget it. A few days later, Ryan surprised her with her favorite flowers, white lilies. She smiled and thanked him, but something about the gesture unsettled her. The same flowers had been sitting on her nightstand when she'd found the window open. She had told no one about it. She couldn't understand how he knew. She pushed the thought aside, not wanting to sound unreasonable, but deep down, something inside her started whispering that maybe she didn't know Ryan as well as she thought. She began noticing how much he seemed to know about her daily life, things she hadn't told him. Her work meetings, the new cafe she tried during lunch, even the songs she listened to on her commute. When she asked how he knew, he laughed and said he just paid attention. His answer didn't comfort her. It scared her. That night, as she lay in bed, she thought about the first time she met him, about all the little coincidences that had brought them together. For the first time, they didn't feel like coincidences anymore. They felt like clues she had missed, like pieces of a puzzle that had been forming long before she even knew it existed. And as she drifted into uneasy sleep, she couldn't shake the feeling that somewhere, someone was watching her again. Emily's growing unease turned into fear the night she decided to trust her instincts. For weeks, the strange feeling of being watched had followed her everywhere, in the parking lot, at the grocery store, even when she walked to the mailbox outside her apartment. Every time she tried to shake it off, something new would happen. Her front door would be unlocked when she swore she had locked it. Her laptop camera light would flicker on for a split second. She felt eyes on her even in the safety of her own home. Finally, she decided to find out what was really happening. She bought a small security camera and placed it near her front door, hidden between two books on the shelf facing her living room. It was a quiet act of desperation, a way to prove to herself that she wasn't losing her mind. The next morning, she sat on her couch with trembling hands, scrolling through the recorded footage. The moment she saw the figure step inside her apartment, her entire body froze. The man walked calmly, like he belonged there. His face appeared under the dim light, unmistakable. It was Ryan. He didn't knock, didn't hesitate. He moved with purpose, checking her drawers, her phone, her laptop. He paused by her bed, watching her as she slept, his face blank and detached. After several minutes, he turned off the light and left, locking the door behind him. The timestamp showed it was just past midnight. Emily's stomach twisted. Every doubt, every uneasy thought she had brushed off came crashing down at once. She called her sister, her voice shaking as she explained what she'd seen. Within hours, she packed a small bag and drove across town to her sister's house, too terrified to go back home. The next day, she walked into the police station, clutching the memory card from her camera like it was her last piece of sanity. The officers listened, took notes, and viewed the footage. They promised to investigate but warned her that Ryan could deny everything. There was no sign of forced entry, no proof of theft, and he might claim she had given him a spare key. When they called him in for questioning, that's exactly what he said. Ryan smiled through the interview, acting calm and composed. He told them Emily had become paranoid and emotional, that she was making up stories because she couldn't handle the breakup he claimed they were going through. For a moment, Emily wondered if anyone would believe her, but she knew what she saw. That night, while staying at her sister's house, she received a call from an unknown number. When she answered, there was only silence. Not even breathing, just empty stillness. Then the line disconnected. It happened again the next night, and again after that. Sometimes she'd hear faint background sounds, footsteps, a door creaking, or soft static. It was like Ryan was reminding her he was still there, watching from somewhere nearby. She tried changing her number, deleting her social media, even avoiding public places. But no matter what she did, she couldn't shake the feeling that he was always one step ahead. Every sound made her flinch. Every reflection in a window made her heart race. Emily had escaped her apartment, but she hadn't escaped Ryan. He was still out there. And he wasn't done. The investigation into Ryan's behavior deepened as the police began to piece together fragments of evidence Emily had overlooked for months. What had once seemed like coincidences now revealed a dark, methodical plan. Detectives traced the anonymous phone calls and discovered they came from a prepaid burner phone purchased at a convenience store just a few blocks from Ryan's apartment. That alone wasn't enough to convict him, but it was a start. Then came the discovery that made Emily's stomach drop. A small black device attached underneath her car bumper. It was a GPS tracker. It had been hidden there for months, quietly recording every destination she visited, every late-night drive, every trip she thought she had taken alone. Investigators searched Ryan's apartment after obtaining a warrant. What they found confirmed the nightmare Emily had feared. Inside a locked drawer were dozens of printed photos of her, some taken from a distance, others clearly captured through her apartment window. There were screenshots of her text messages, copies of her emails, and a notebook filled with detailed notes about her routine. Each page read like a journal of obsession. Times she woke up, when she left for work, when she came home, even notes about the outfits she wore and the people she spoke to. There were hand-drawn maps of her neighborhood marked with phrases like, "Wait here," "good view," and "angle of bedroom." It was as though he had studied her life the way someone studies a puzzle they intend to master. When Ryan was arrested, Emily thought it was finally over. For the first time in months, she slept without fear. The court charged him with stalking, harassment, and unlawful surveillance. The evidence seemed undeniable, but peace was short-lived. While awaiting trial in jail, Ryan somehow managed to send Emily letters. Each one arrived at her new temporary address, a place she hadn't shared with anyone outside the investigation. Inside the envelopes were handwritten notes describing what she had eaten for breakfast, the color of her sweater, even the route she took to work. Every letter ended with the same phrase, "I told you I'd always find you." Emily's fear turned to panic. She showed the letters to detectives who quickly realized that Ryan wasn't acting alone. Someone outside was feeding him information. Weeks of tracing and surveillance revealed that the person helping him was not a stranger. It was his younger brother, Nate Pierce. Nate had been following Emily since Ryan's arrest, updating him on her movements, photographing her from afar, and delivering the details through coded letters. Ryan's control extended far beyond bars. Even in confinement, he managed to keep her trapped in the same invisible prison of fear. The authorities moved Emily into a protection program under a new name, relocating her to another state. She cut off contact with everyone she knew, deleted every trace of her online presence, and changed her appearance slightly. Yet even with the distance, the anxiety lingered. Every knock at the door made her freeze. Every unfamiliar car parked outside made her pulse quicken. Ryan might have been behind bars, but in her mind he was everywhere. A full year passed before Emily finally began to feel like her life might be returning to normal. Living under a new name in a quiet coastal town, she had found a modest apartment overlooking the water and a job that didn't draw attention. The constant tension that had once ruled her every moment began to loosen, though the fear never completely disappeared. She checked her locks 3 times each night, never sat with her back to a window, and changed her walking route every few days. The past had taught her that safety was an illusion and trust was something earned slowly, if ever. But even with her precautions, the past was not done with her. It was a detective from her old case who contacted her again. His voice was calm, but his words reignited the panic she thought she had buried. The investigation had uncovered new evidence. Ryan had not acted alone in his obsession, and Nate's role in the stalking was deeper than anyone had realized. The younger brother had been caught again after trying to visit Ryan in prison, carrying with him a small notebook filled with Emily's new address, her workplace, and recent photographs taken secretly over several months. Emily's blood ran cold when she heard the detective say that Ryan had known where she was even after her relocation. Her new life had never been hidden from him at all. During questioning, Nate confessed that his brother's obsession with Emily had started long before they met on the dating app. Ryan had first seen her years earlier at a marketing conference. She had been giving a presentation, confident and smiling, unaware of the man sitting in the audience who couldn't take his eyes off her. From that day, Ryan began following her life from a distance, watching her grow in her career, changing apartments, dating other people. When she joined the dating app, he saw it as his chance to step into her life under the illusion of coincidence. The entire relationship had been premeditated, engineered by a man who believed he was entitled to own her. The revelation shattered what little peace Emily had managed to rebuild. The idea that every conversation, every gesture of affection, every memory she had shared with him was part of a calculated plan made her skin crawl. She felt betrayed by her own memories, realizing they had all been manipulated. The case expanded into charges of stalking, conspiracy, and attempted kidnapping. With Nate's cooperation, prosecutors were able to piece together the full extent of Ryan's plan. He had intended to kidnap Emily once she tried to leave him, using a remote cabin he had rented months in advance as the place to start over. When the trial finally ended, Ryan was sentenced to 15 years in prison, and Nate received 5. Emily did not attend the sentencing. She didn't want to see Ryan's face again, didn't want to give him the satisfaction of knowing she still feared him. Instead, she spent the day walking along the coastline, letting the wind drown out the noise of the world. She would never return to her old city, never reclaim her real name, but she had her freedom back. Fragile, but hers. Her story became a warning whispered in documentaries and podcasts, a chilling reminder that sometimes the person you think you know best might have been studying you long before you ever met.